have some kind of legislation to insist that Eagle do this. Anyway, it was a big case. Eagle sent out a press release, and the people in Southwest Detroit are very, very happy about this settlement of the civil rights claim related to the impact of pollution on people. All right, that's it for my end here in Wayne County.
Thank you. And I failed to start the recording right at the very beginning. So just for everybody's awareness, I just started that. Dan Brown.
Dan is here.
Thank you. Daniel Burlingame. Dave Wynn. Dale Manswitz. Dale Dugan. Jason Legowski.
I am here and no update.
Joe.
I'm here. Thank you.
John.
Yeah, I'm here and no updates for me.
Lois.
Here, no update.
Lynn Knopf.
I'm here and I came in a couple minutes late. I don't know if you guys had discussed, but I had to call in on my phone because it won't connect on my computer. It just says when the meeting starts, we'll let people know you're waiting. Did anyone else notice that?
Maybe make sure that you're connected to the right meeting link.
Well, I think I was. I can join on the phone, but I didn't know if anyone else was having trouble. This has actually never happened to me before, but I just thought I'd give you a heads up in case other people are struggling with it as well. But it could be just me, definitely.
I'm having trouble. This is Phil Roos. I've been trying to sign in for a little bit here, but I'm just doing it on my phone. It's the join button for some reason. I tried that 5 different ways. I've been just having a problem, so I apologize.
Yep, I tried to join on Teams as well, and then the other way just on my computer, and it's not letting me either way, but the phone worked just fine, link.
Should we run through this real quick or should we skip over to the director?
Well, I know Phil is busy and I hate to eat up his time. So why don't we skip over to Phil since he's been gracious enough to call in, and we will pick up where we left off when he's done. So hi, Phil. It's good to see you. And you're on mute.
Okay. Can you hear me? Okay, awesome. Sorry for all that. Sandy, can you say something? So I just make sure I can hear you. I was having audio problems.
Yes, it's great to have you here. I'm glad you got on. I love technology.
Right. Want me to just get started, or do you want to say anything before?
No, I think we were glad to have you join us before, and I really appreciate you taking the time to come and join us again. I think we'd like to hear some updates, and then I'm sure people have a lot of questions and things they'd like to talk to you about. So go ahead and take it away.
Okay, great. Well, thanks for inviting me again, and it's a privilege to be here. I had 2 things I was hoping to do, and Sandy, it's kind of what when you and I connected seemed to make sense. First, I have a couple of just general updates, and they're more at the level of what are we like. I want to give you a sense of how we're thinking about the various elements of addressing PFAS. And maybe a little bit of input on that, but probably that might be a good follow-up session at some point. Just some perspective with our planning, and now that I've been in the job a little over a year, I'm starting to understand what the challenges are in a lot more direct way. And then as part of that, then really, I know you want to talk about notification. What I'd really like to do is have a conversation about that. I can share with you what my thoughts are and what I know and don't know, and the state of play right now. And then I'd really like to get some input on that and just a little back and forth, if that's okay. Okay. All right. First of all, when I can't remember when last time we met where we were in this process, but Eagle overall, we've got a process we call Vision 2027. It's kind of our guiding planning for the organization, and it's meant to just kind of amplify and give us a vision for impact overall in everything we do. So we've got a vision by the end of Governor Whitmer's term, which would be 2027, to be a clear, enduring national leader in environmental protection across our key program areas, and PFAS would be one of those for sure. And we've been in the process of kind of setting some stretch goals across all of Eagle, and benchmarking ourselves against other states to sort of see where there are opportunities for improvement, where we can learn from others, and where we've got some leadership already that we can build on. And PFAS is one of those areas where, by virtue of getting hit in a public way, in a way that really had big public impact earlier than maybe some other states, we've done a lot of things sooner than other states, and we've got some areas of leadership for sure. Nothing that I had anything to do with, but that are there. And then we've got massive challenges still, areas where we're not where we need to be. And I'm trying to like break down the various elements of, and you guys probably have thought, I'm sure you've thought this through way more than I have, but just thinking about the priority areas, we have, I'll call it sampling and site identification, sort of discovering where there's contamination that we need to address. And then there's investigation. And of course, with MPART, that's a big part of MPART, is that phase, is if there's a report of an issue, mobilizing state government, certainly our department, DHHS, and others, to try to understand what the problem is, assess the risk, and then start the process of addressing it. Then we have the cleanup process. And then this probably should go at the beginning of all that, what I'll just call proactive prevention. And I wanted to talk about that and just at a high level, the other areas, and then go deeply on notification, which is really part of the site identification and investigation, I guess. So one of the things I just got back from presentation to Environmental Council of the States. And what I was asked to share with the other states is something I'm guessing you all know something about, so I won't belabor it at all, but I thought it was important to acknowledge this. We have this is really on the area of trying to, at scale, prevent contamination in the best, most efficient way that we possibly can, where we can marshal a lot of resources against it. And those are our industrial pretreatment program. Are people aware of that and sort of some of the results from that? I think some folks in other states were kind of blown away by that by building into our wastewater treatment permitting programs, the requirement that all of the industrial potential sources of PFAS, that if there are PFAS levels that are elevated, that they're required to ensure that the industrial sources pre-treat to eliminate or close to eliminate PFAS. And then it makes it, since we can't, clean all the water in the lakes and streams, that's a way that we can, for every place we have a wastewater treatment plant, and we've got this in, I don't know, 100 wastewater treatment plants, I think. And the results on that have been reductions often in the high 90, like 98, 99% level. And then when they've tested fish and other wildlife, they're seeing, particularly aquatic wildlife, they're seeing really pretty significant reductions. Then there's the biosolids testing to try to prevent some of the problems, major problems that we've had in the past. We're getting compliance at a really high level on those. We didn't initially, but it's building to where we're getting into the mid 90% range on those. And then in our materials management program, trying to any industrial sources where we have permit authority, testing, and the same thing with drinking water. So those are so that you might say the easy things to do, but they're not done in any consistent way in other parts of the country, save a few states. So that's something that we can do at scale. And that work, now the work on that is really trying to make sure if there are certain, maybe some treatment plants that were not covered, or they're industrial treatment plants, that we can cover those and just make that 100% coverage to at least dramatically reduce the likelihood of added contamination coming in. Now, it's not going to reduce everything, but so that's one area. Then we could do things. I think the next frontier on this is going to be upstream, and we have some. You guys are aware there's some bills that have been introduced or are pending that are related to either banning PFAS under some circumstances, or other forms that are trying to address it before they even gets into the system. And that's working its way through. Minnesota's had some success with that. So that's like one of the big things to address that can have the biggest impact. Cleanup. We're kind of doing that on an as discovered basis. And I wanted to just share with you, because we don't think of these being connected, but one of the biggest proposals the governor had in her budget was an increase in the solid waste surcharge, or it's called a tipping fee, so that we can have a pretty order of magnitude improvement in the number of big sites, and hopefully then little sites that we can address for a variety of things, but PFAS being certainly a big part of that. And that's something we're working on very actively. We're hoping to get that done and I think we got a fighting chance of doing that in the lame duck session. And that's really about, one of the biggest issues we have with cleanup is funding. There aren't a lot of federal funds in the way there are for in our state revolving fund for upgrading drinking water and wastewater treatment infrastructure. There isn't as much out there for contaminated site cleanup. So what we're trying to create is a self-funding thing that we don't have to ask the state or the feds for money every year, but every year we will have a big supply of funding for cleanups. And I think that's our best shot at it right now. So we're trying to push that through. I just wanted you to be aware of that. And then what I'm trying to do is figure out sampling. We have little dribs and drabs of money for sampling that obviously is completely inadequate for the challenge. I'm talking about proactive sampling and then addressing contamination where it shows up. And this would probably be particularly for homes where there's not, if you're outside of a existing contaminated, the biggest thing is if you're in an area of contamination, but eventually outside of that. And that I don't have a good solution for, I don't have a funding solution for yet, but we're trying to figure that out, as well as ways to be better at investigation and just how can we better hit the areas that are going to be the highest likelihood of contamination, like fire stations and training facilities is one that we're doing some work on, trying to figure out how we can get some funding to work in that area, both in terms of sampling and in cleanup. That's just, I'd love to later have a discussion about priorities of this group within that, of all those areas that I listed, especially the ones that I didn't talk about. But let's talk about the one that I know is on everybody's mind, and that is notification. So I'm, I think, reasonably up to speed in terms of, I know what are, I know a little bit of the history here. I think in 2023, this group came to Eagle and MPART and said, this is what we think we should do in terms of notification. The 1 mile radius and all the other elements that were part of that. And I get that totally, and why, that without getting into details of that, why that would make a lot of sense. And then I think our team, all of this before I got here, and I'm trying to, figure this out and have an open mind to all of it now, looked at, with all considerations, what could we practically do and that would be, science-based, given limited resources and other issues that may come up, whether they're privacy or liability or other issues. And I think what I'm clear on, and I even see it in the chat here prior to this meeting, there's been a ton of frustration on this from this group and others in the PFAS advocacy and communities groups. Why aren't we just doing that? And I can tell you certain reasons. I can tell you what some of the stated reasons are. But I think one of the things I wanted to do was I wanted to dive in a little bit more and understand what the most important goals are. And when we get down to the specific elements of it, what are the most specific elements? Because I think I'm honestly excited that I know we've got some potential legislation that may be coming forward and that is going to make it easier to resolve this one way or another. And there's going to be negotiation with the legislature. We will be asked for input. Others will have input. You will have input to that. You already have, I think, in getting that legislation put forward. And I welcome that. And I think it's great because I think we're all going to be faced with whatever the realities are of what can be funded and what can we do. And it'll force us all, including MPART and Eagle, to be really mindful about the things that are most important that we need to make sure get done, whether they're layered, and if there are some, whether it's taking what we're doing right now and potentially layering some things on it, or it's something that's in the legislation and adjusting it to make it perfect and feasible and all of that. And this is important for me right now because I know, like, there are some, I mentioned privacy and liability issues. I'm not even going to go into that because I think those are probably ways to work around those. I think probably the biggest thing is a resource issue that we'll need to confront. And the only perspective I'll give on this is that we're already starting. We just finished the budget process where we, had in the scheme of things in a tighter year, we had pretty good funding, particularly for things that are where we have federal matching money where we can get more for whatever money the state puts together, like drinking water infrastructure. Well, water infrastructure is one of them. There's money for lead service lines federally if you do some of the work at the state level. And so those are the things that seem to have gotten prioritized. What did not get prioritized, despite some pretty big asks from us, were full-time employees. We did get some full-time employees. Some of those, a good chunk of them are for added programs that were added through the legislature. And I know that's one of the things we'll have to work through on this, because if we were to do really true public notification at the level that this group has recommended, it would be more FTEs than we were awarded for the whole department this last year. And that may be the right priority, or, but we've got a lot of needs, most of which got turned down. There may be other ways to do to define public notification or to do public notification that don't involve lots of new staff too. Those are the things, those are the kinds of things that I want to just have a little discussion about, so I understand the priorities of this group as we end up being brought into some of those discussions. So that's all. I didn't have a speech to give here or like a recommendation. I'm just saying, I really want to hear what's important. You guys have thought about this for a long time. We're going to be having this discussion in the legislature and outside the legislature. So I would love some comments just on, this is the, you know, this is the most important thing we're trying to accomplish. These are the 2 or 3 or whatever individual elements that are important. Is 1 mile, is there a magic to that? Or is there, or is that like a best guess? Those kinds of things. So
Well,
I open the floor to you.
thanks, Phil. You gave us a good foundation. I know people want to talk about it. So, Lynn, you had your hand up within about 3.2 seconds. So I'm going to let you go first, and then I'm going to call on Joe. So go ahead, Lynn.
Thank you, Sandy. Thank you for coming, Phil. I am very shy, so I don't usually jump forward like this. Actually, I have to say that you are, in general, you are speaking to a group, those of us who were here when it all started. We know the history here. We've been pulling this around for 4 years now. In the fall of 2020, in the spring of 2021, we all met, a lot of us met in small groups and put our heads together and submitted something in July of 2021. And Garrett Ellison wrote an article about it. There was unanimous support from the COG for this public notification document. And it sat, and there were things that it wasn't specific enough. We already talked about the 1 mile radius. We've already been through all this, so it's not new to us. So then we were told it needed to be more specific. So then another small group got together and arduously met in between meetings and hammered that all out on a spreadsheet. Again, no traction. Now, I don't want to put this on any one particular person or agency or anything like that. But the point is, first of all, if it is the priority, it should be maintained as a priority. And I guess I feel like I need you to understand as the director here that I'm really tired of, it is no consolation to me at all when Michigan is far ahead of these other states in this, and this, because we know all this. And if people are talking about the COG at this group and, you know, their advisory group and, you know, they're working, we're getting things done, it should be actually told to the other states that we have struggled. And that though public notification was the top priority and it has been for 4 years, nothing has been accomplished. And why? We don't, that's what we need to explore, but we need to maybe look, is it multi-agency? Is it, I don't know what the answers are, but it has not stayed a priority. And I know there's others priorities of the group, but there has to be money for it. When a house is on fire, you save the people, you get them out. Try to get the pets too. And it's like, you can yell, you know, try to get better firefighting programs, educate people about fire safety. You can do all those things alongside, but really it's the people who might be suffering ill effects to their lives and their families. It's like, there's no question that it needs to be important. And yet we throw it in and we hope for money here and we hope for money there and this and that. And maybe if we talk about it, it's much more than that. And I wrote you an email summarizing this as well. And I would love to talk to you. I would love for the COG to be in contact once a month because it was a year ago that we so nicely met you, but every month counts. Every single month counts. So there has to be money. There has to be a way to communicate that. We have 290 sites. There has to be money. And I think there always is if it's a little bit more urgency is put on it. When Petton Harbor found that lead crisis after the whole thing with Flint, there was suddenly money. There's got to be suddenly money to go at this and one, notify people, and two, have there be money for the state offering free testing of wells. That I can't see it any other way. And I've been at this since 2010. I've been at this a long time, and MPART formed because of citizens who helped expose PFAS at Wordsmith, Rockford, and through the work of one of your employees, Bob Delaney. It didn't just happen. We didn't just choose to be on the front of it. It formed because the issue got exposed, and the state's lagging behind of that was exposed as well. That's important to know. 5 years they sat on a report. We can't do those things anymore. And I'm going to stop because I know other people want to say something, but I cannot. There's part of me that just cannot rest until we get it done. I guess we need to get it done. Thank you though for listening.
Thank you,
I appreciate
Lynn.
it.
Thanks,
I
Lynn.
really appreciate it.
Joe. Joe, are you there? All right.
Hi.
There you go.
Sorry. Okay. I liked your comment about what Minnesota is doing, going upstream and trying to ban some of these materials. Is there anything going on in Michigan?
Yeah, there are, there's a package of bills that are, that were introduced a few months ago, and that there's been comment that mostly what I think the thing they're trying to work through, and some of this is things we've learned from Minnesota, is it's around implementation and feasibility, and how do you define all the, like something like a ban, what would that look like? I don't know where those are right now, but because they're not moving very quickly, it's what I can see. But our team has been engaging in those and providing input on those. And yeah, it's similar to the notification issue in terms of just trying to figure out a feasible path forward on those. So those, they're not dead, I know that, but yeah. And Sydney, I'm not going to call on you to, Sydney Hart, could say much more about the status of those, but.
Yeah, I can speak to them a little bit. So Rep. Cernoglu's office has introduced bills that would ban intentionally added PFAS in products and would require the regulated industry to do some reporting requirements for products that would not have no safe alternatives outside of PFAS. And so there would be basically this database. So those are a few of the bills that have been introduced thus far. Like the director said, they are currently sitting in the House Natural Resources Committee and have not received a hearing up to this point. But MPART, Abby, Amy, Mike have been engaging with legislators to provide feedback on how, from input that they've received from other state agencies that have implemented things like this, in trying to be helpful in projections and language for what could be implementable in the state of Michigan.
Yeah, thank
Great,
you.
thanks.
I just want to comment that I get a monthly question for my wife. What's in this cosmetics?
Yeah,
So
I know.
hurry up.
Yes. All right, we have Mary, then Stacy, then Rick, then Jason. And I know Phil is on a time limit. So Mary, go ahead. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you. Thanks for being here, Phil.
Oh,
The
thanks.
one thing I did want to say is that when a process is set in place, if all the agencies, divisions of agencies, municipalities, local health departments, and any others involved in the process, if the process could clearly state which entity is responsible from the beginning until the completion, and including the informing the public when that happens and who is responsible. The other thing I would like to say is that involving, as you were saying, there are some areas that Michigan is lagging. And one of those areas that I feel strongly that we are lagging is in taking care of our farmers that are affected by PFAS. And Jason Grastic has been identified currently as the only Michigan farmer, but there are going to be others. When you put millions of millions of fields affected by biosolids, he cannot be the only one. Maine at this point has appropriated $70 million to help their farmers affected by PFAS contamination. And I would like to see Michigan get involved in that as well. Thank you very much.
I appreciate that very much. And I share your concern about that, although we've been having discussions with our friends at MPART about this and just to try to understand what we're doing, what we could do. Yeah, and sort of all the different elements here. So thank you for raising that, Mary.
Thank you.
All right, Stacy and then Rick. And Stacy, I bet you're having trouble getting your mic to work. In fact, she said, Sandy, I'm sure my mic won't work. Stacy typed in the chat, and Holly, we need proactive prevention, the 200 acres adjacent to the Falk Road toxic dump is creating a super spreader, including from wastewater treatment plant surface water discharge. Please, I ask for a meeting. It is happening despite 7 years of boots on the ground effort. We met at the MEC conference in June. Please err on the side of caution. Take a meeting, look at the maps and documents. So I think that's one request that I know Holly has struggled with and had questions on. So
yeah, no, thank you, Stacy. And I actually have looked at this in some depth, and I know that one of the things is just as it relates to PFAS, I know that MPART has offered to hold a town hall at the point when the PFAS investigation's complete and there's some information to share. And I know it goes beyond PFAS, the issue. So thanks for raising that. And I continue to look at that and try to get a deeper understanding of it.
okay. Rick and then Jason and then Daniel.
Thanks for attending the meeting, and I just wanted to kind of go back a little bit to the beginning or the start of the public notification or the most recent public notification discussions. And the document that this group produced was not unanimous. I'd say maybe 30% of the group was not in favor of it, felt it went too far. And I certainly was one of them. I do feel public notification is really important, and I think that rather than just say we need to notify all potentially exposed people to all media before the investigation starts, I mean, that's a real tough one. I don't know how you notify people about collecting fish samples. You know, what's the potentially exposed population for those set of fish samples? I don't know how you would notify people to do some of the things that we're asking the MPART do. But I think we should discuss each one of those in the blog here and try and come up with creative ways where the partners can help. Like townships can be a very important part of notifying the public in a general manner about the hazards of PFAS in the township. I think there are probably better ways to augment the Eat Safe Fish program. I think that's a good program, but there might be other ways to communicate that information better. So, we have been engaging the public group here. I've been attending most of those, and we haven't had any meetings since we came up with that document. I mean, we do meet, but we don't discuss engaging the public. So I think we have a table, and it is controversial. I mean, we have people that, I feel strongly about it. There's obviously people that feel much stronger than I do about it. And we need to just hammer those out and come up with recommendations, implementation, rather than just make a broad statement like what we did in both of those.
I'm having trouble.
Yeah,
hearing.
you're breaking up quite a bit there, Rick.
I can't really hear much of it, Rick. I heard the first part, and I
But it's kind of getting
appreciate
worse.
that comment a lot. But maybe if you were to put something in the chat that we can react to. And Sandy, I apologize. I have to leave at about 6:50 because I have to be somewhere at 7.
I knew you had a time limit.
Yeah, no, and I'd be willing to re-engage. But yeah, let's see if we can get to all the other questions here.
Okay, so Jason and then Daniel, and then if we have time, Connie, and like I said, Phil, I'm going to hold you to that re-engaging. So
okay, you got it.
I know where to find you. Okay, Jason.
I know you do.
Excuse me, mine will be quick. I was just wondering what the latest is with Senate Bill 663 and whether that would potentially be a tool you could use to help with the PFAS issue.
Can you help me, Sydney, with what that bill is? Is that?
I'm having some trouble with the audio. I didn't quite catch the question.
It was
Senate
Bill 663.
What's the status?
Jason, what's Bill 663?
I know it passed the Senate back in June, but it basically restores Eagle's rulemaking capabilities.
Yeah, I can address that. Well, Sydney, go ahead. You can probably give a more definitive. We're hoping to bring that back up here in lame duck, if not sooner.
Yeah, sorry, I'm switching to my phone because it started to break up again. I think what I heard was it's Part 31 rulemaking. Is that what the question was?
Yeah.
Yeah. Give me 1 second.
Maybe.
Okay.
Well, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, let's go on. Sydney, maybe you could type it in the chat. I got to leave in 8 minutes, so
absolutely.
That's all right. But
Daniel.
I think Jason, that's the basic thing. Is it didn't make it at the deadline, but it's a big priority for us to try to get that moving through.
Go ahead, Daniel.
I'll try to be real quick. Thanks for joining us, Director Roos. I really appreciate it. What I would say generally regarding notification is to look back at the original memo that we scoped out. There was a lot of thought that went into that, and that was the genesis of sort of everything that came after. And the legislation that's being crafted is largely based on that. So that that lays out, I think, what the key components and goals were for that process and what we wanted to see change. If I can try to sum it up very quickly, it's that a lot of us were frustrated with polluters or bad actors effectively getting a head start on notification, working with state officials for weeks, months, in a few cases years before anybody in the public sphere was notified. So that gives them time to staff up with lawyers and start a PR campaign. They just get a head start.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
In terms of resolutions, what I'd say is, or what the resolution could be, basically look at what happened with the Traverse City Airport and the delays in notification that occurred there. look at how Gelman has delayed, diverted, distracted over decades around the dioxane plume around Ann Arbor, and then think about, what simple systems could be used to create a critical mass of notification quickly. And one idea that comes to mind is like the MDOT notification system for traffic alerts. And how would that look for, an analogy, how would that look for PFAS sites? So as a new site is listed, anybody that signs up to an email list gets a notification in their inbox that a site's been added. I think, triangulating between those things gets us, to a critical mass to, hold those polluters accountable, improve notification speed. I'll stop there.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. And actually, if you have a copy of that memo, I could probably dig it up internally, but I'd love to see it if you don't mind.
We will get that to you.
Okay, thanks.
We'll get that before the next meeting. Okay, Connie, you've got 2 minutes. I'm going to hold you to 2 minutes, and then we've got to let him go so he doesn't get a speeding ticket. Go ahead,
I'll
Connie.
be less than that because Dan pretty much summarized everything that I was going to say on that. I really do think you got to look at the document. We worked so hard and so long to prepare on that notification.
Okay.
So, but one quick thing, I hear a lot and I'm really getting tired of hearing about we don't have staff, we can't really address this, we don't have money. I come from the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency in Washington, D.C. in the Superfund office. We work with contaminated sites all the time. And the key on all of that under CERCLA is the polluter pays. You start making the polluter, he or she would have to do the investigation. You give him a timeline and you get things moving. Why should the taxpayers bear this burden? It's they're the ones who are the source of the problem. Make them clean it up. That's how we did it on the federal government. So learn from
thank
that.
you. I neglected to talk about that. That's been a pretty major engagement on that bill, trying to get that moving forward. All of these things are connected.
All right. Well, thank you, Phil. I appreciate so much you coming and taking the scatter shot of questions and demands and everything.
Really
I really do
helpful
think
input.
we have a good group of people here who know what it's like on the ground to feel this. And I think we can bring a valuable resource to you of what citizens in this state really expect from this department. So I look forward to you coming back again. I think it'd be fabulous. So
I promise I will do that.
all right, you're on record.
Not a year from now. So
okay, good.
Thanks a
Wonderful.
lot, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Take care.
All right. Thank you to all of you for jumping in there. And Dan, you have your hand back up. Did you want to say something?
Yep, that's old.
Oh, okay. Well, you're just waving then. Okay. Let's get through roll call and then we can chat a little more if you want, or we can go right to the next stuff. Go ahead,
right.
Callie.
Lynn McIntosh.
Well, we know she was here.
Her still there?
She said she was here. All right, well, keep going.
Mary Blanchard.
I'm here, and in Holly, the state has done more testing through the local health department of homes that might be affected by drinking water issues. So we'll wait on seeing that. Thank you.
Pam McQueer. Patty Baldwin.
I am here, and just a brief update with Cascade Township. Phase 2 of the water project has started in our neighborhood, and so that's a great sign. They're going to dig as much as they can, lay as much water main until the cold weather comes. Thank you.
Portia.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, great. I'm here and I don't have any updates, but my Teams keeps acting up, so I'm glad it unmuted. Thank you.
Thank you. Richard Burns? Rick Radisky?
Here and no updates.
Tamara? Sandy?
I'm here and the work at the House Street disposal site just keeps moving along and it's pretty much all dirt now. That's my only update. But it's clean dirt or cleaner.
Thank you. Shalene?
I am here and no update.
Stacy Taylor? She is here still.
Stacy just dropped in the chat that she's here, but her mic doesn't work.
Teresa Landrum? Tony said he wasn't going to be able to make it.
Can you hear me?
Teresa, is that you?
Yes, it is.
All right. Any updates?
None for me.
Glad you're here.
Joe Barnett.
Hey, certainly here. Thank you very much, everybody. Just an update. I'm trying to organize a town hall open house info meeting in the month of October. The EPA is coming to Cadillac next week to do their 5-year inspection on our LDFA cleanup project. I'd like to invite Eagle. The EPA is invited. I'm basically finding a location probably at our high school somewhere. I've invited the Department of Health and Human Services, and those folks are inviting the city of Cadillac, which I feel have struggled here with openness, and that they're just an example of a municipality mishandling the aftermath of 2 Superfund sites. In any event, people were on private wells drinking water that's got 9 PFOA. That's one family. There's 3 others that they're testing that actually are, one of them's even closer to our plating company that was closed in 1980 or so. In any event, the city, the members of the LDFA don't understand what PFAS is. They're basically managing money in a pumping system. They never tested for PFAS. They finally did as it came into a scrubber, and it came out higher than it went in. And I don't know the number because the city's so far denied my FOIA. I should have it by the 13th. All I really wanted and modified my FOIA, just give me your test results from this summer. But the city sat on tests since 2021. MPART ordered those. I had known about a school, I think in 2018 or 2019, about being in the top 25. It's 2 miles or a mile from the Clam River, where that's been a dumping ground for the Superfund sites. In any event, everybody's trying to find out where it's coming from, and it was found under our industrial park. And also PFBS is there, which means it's more recent too, and that it's migrated. And I'm concerned about the other chemicals. My resident from 8th Avenue, 8th Street, we've talked about him before. He did a test for 290, just PFAS only, and was alarmed at the results. There's going to be a lot of media exposure to this issue, so people on private wells will wake up and realize that there's a problem. They've had to find out the hard way. One person drank for 16 years on a well, one family, grandchildren, in-laws, etc. Some are gone with cancer, 2 of them actually, but that was historic and not recent exposure. In any event, we need a change of culture in Cadillac. We have a board member. I've just sent you some meetings so you could hear how people operate with this, and industry versus an environmentalist. And we're hoping a new direction can happen, but I would invite everyone to have a positive meeting. I can you know, I have been outspoken against the city's poor handling. If I need to sit in the audience at the meeting, it'll be in October, and I'm really doing it with the EPA, and everybody's invited to come. Anyone in the committee wants to come, they can. Tony's committee's offered through people there to provide information, and really I'd like to set it up to so our residents can give feedback to government and they can hear actual people that are frustrated with public notification. I'd also like to see our federal guidelines adopted by Michigan at once. I would have told Director Roos that. In any event, I'm very active up here. I'm sorry for peppering everybody's email once in a while with updates. There'll be probably one tomorrow or the next day if the city ever returns the reporter's call, but or when they do, and I'm sure they have by now. So there's a big story breaking up in our neck of the woods, and I just want everyone to know. I told the city council, actually a person on the city council offered to do the same meeting, and 1st of June, it's going nowhere. So I took it over and offered to organize it, which may be as little as just finding a room and letting you guys do your thing. In any event, thanks for all the support of the people that have contacted me and recognize the struggle I'm having up here to just get information, transparency, openness, and a discussion about what the heck's going on, and not a cover up and not, closed meetings and party liability concerns that are not going to go away. I just don't understand the lack of openness just to warn people. So we have people in harm's way, and I suspect several more residents in Herring Township who are on the outskirts of the LDFA. And what else is in this water besides PFAS that came out of the plating company? It's sort of like that Jackson article about that plating company and the struggles that are there. I do appreciate everything Eagle's doing, and Amy Peterson to see what she can do to get a informative message to the community. But people need information, they need training, and just would like to see this go in a better direction. I was a little frustrated to not know it was lingering under our industrial park, and the state knew, the city knew, and the EPA either got a second test or not. There was 2 tests done in 21 and 22. It was clearly in there, and the city got a positive test, and they're treating it like a false positive. Yet a guy 2 blocks away has even higher levels of PFAS. It's not gone away. It's migrating, and I'm concerned for people on private wells as far as we could see this go. It could be up to a mile or so or longer. It's been going on for 27 years. It's still not cleaned up. So thanks for your support, everyone. And I would love to see Michigan adopt the federal rules and adopt those moving forward so that there's more enforcement possibilities and positive goals. We have a guy on our LDFA. He wants them to invest in equipment to get it down to 1 as it goes into the Clam River. That would be fantastic. And to track the plume where it came from, where it's going. I think that's possible. And there are people in harm's way, and they have been. Our city managers, our city water director has been denying anyone on a public well, and I basically had to have the guy finally agree to a test and take it right in and show him. And then they determined 4 other homes, but I suspect there'll be way more, and that's a little bit clunky up here. And any help the state, federal government, or any of you or any groups want to give to our community, there's going to be a lot of questions and
So Bill,
attention to PFAS.
Thanks for your work on this, Bill. Let us know when that meeting is, because I think there could be a bunch of us that could probably come and lend some support to you guys. So thanks for all that you've done. I know you've been doing a yeoman's amount of work there.
Thank you.
All right, is that your, thanks, Bill. Is that Teresa's hand up again? I don't know whose number's there. And then Gail Dugan.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, when you asked for announcements, I just got notification that marathon has been approved by Eagle to pollute more, and so that's a big letdown because that's the second company that we've gone and made comments, and they have been given permission to go ahead and to pollute. So that's a disappointment. Thank you.
Marathon Oil got a bunch of permits to throw out a lot more shit in the air over there.
That is
It
a
was just
huge
approved
letdown.
today.
All right.
You might want to mute your line.
Yeah. Okay, thanks, I think, for that update, Teresa. Let's talk after this. Gail, you're next. Gail, are you there? Your hand is up. All right, he may have had to step away or take a call. Do we have everybody on the roll call? Anybody hear me?
We do. I got,
Okay.
I marked Gail down as well, so we have 20 members.
Okay.
Kelly, this is Lynn. I had to join by phone because my reception wasn't working. So I'm here, Lynn McIntosh.
All right, thanks, Lynn.
Uh-huh.
Gail, you got your hand up, so if you get back, let us know what it is. Just pop right in here. All right, are there any subcommittee
It's in the chat.
Oh, okay, sorry, I didn't have that up.
Now we can hear you.
Yes, my updates in the chat.
Okay,
And,
you want us to
we
read
do
it, or do
have-
you want to tell us?
Go ahead and read it. We've working with the water study group here in Allegan County, and working on polluted wells and things of that nature. So things are coming along fairly well in Allegan County here. Thank you.
Thanks, Gail. Glad to hear that. Okay, and I think I'm trying to do I'm trying to do everything here, kids. Lois said when talking about your site, please say the county and site name or area of interest so that we can each know what each other's talking about. That's a good plan. And we have a new person on, Alam Kayed, the student from Wayne State. Glad you're here. We love young people here. Okay. Any subcommittee stuff we got going on? Just jump right in there.
Hi, this is Portia. I'm going to report in from the Public Engagement Subcommittee. We talked today about doing a little bit of research or a literature review on what some other states have done as far as methods of notifying the public within a 1 mile radius prior to a PFAS investigation in their area. We did a little initial research and came up with some ideas, and I know other people have ideas as well. We're going to touch back on that topic, but we wanted to throw out there for those of you who are interested in making public notifications a priority for the group. We were talking about perhaps having the public engagement subcommittee on a different day so that it isn't added to the 6 to 8 p.m. time commitment on Tuesdays already. It makes for a long evening. I know for myself, when you have kids and dinner and soccer and all that good stuff. So we were open to changing it to a different day so that people might be more interested in joining, and perhaps even making the meeting a little longer than 30 minutes, perhaps an hour. So as we work on doing some research on what other states have done successfully, we can pull together some additional ideas and dedicate a little bit more time to getting the project moving forward instead of kind of just spinning our wheels in this little 30-minute meeting that is not as well attended as I think it might be if we perhaps moved the date and time. So just throwing it out there, if anyone has a suggestion for another date and time, We would love to hear it, and we would love to have more people participate. We just have a handful of people talking about public notifications right now.
Great. Thank you. I love that idea. Was somebody speaking up?
Yeah, the website review subcommittee, we did meet again today also. We have a relatively small group of 3, along with Kelly, and we were continuing to discuss the updates to the GIS tools page. That's going to be probably finalized and live by our next meetings, Kelly's thought. So anyway, that'll be links to RIDE and a couple of other databases that will be on just so citizens can find information a little bit, well, at least links to information a little bit easier on the process of beyond just the MPART site. So that'll be it.
That's great. That's cool stuff. Thank you. All right. Anyone else have anything? All right. Who's gonna
Sandy,
go?
I'm sorry, it's Lois. I just wondered if anybody's already talked about the conference that's coming up. It sounds like $50 is a really great deal for the COG members to attend.
Garrett Ellison.
What conference is that? I've been dodging bears all week.
I'm sorry, it showed up in an email. It's the Great Lakes Drinking Water Conference, September 25 to 26. And did I see in an email that it's just, what did I say, $50? Did I catch that right for COG? I'm just
Kelly,
confirming.
is that
I'm
trying to plan? Yeah, Kelly, do you know anything about this?
I do not recall hearing anything about this.
For Mary Blanchard, sent yesterday, 11:06 a.m. It came in.
Mary, what do you know? Can you enlighten us? Is Mary here? Let's check with Mary. I'll try and tag her later on in this, or put a note in the chat. Can you put a note in the chat?
If that's the case,
Sorry.
yeah, if that's the case, it's a $250 registration fee, and if COG can get it for $50, you guys ought to all go.
Garrett Ellison, NY.
In our spare time. Yes.
Yes.
Mary, tell us, are you here, Mary?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
And this is going to be in Novi on the 25th and 26th. And there are 4 different pathways that they have identified. Phil Roos is also going to be there, and it is put on by Eagle. And one of the pathways is going to be the emerging contaminants, including PFAS. Another one is where it all starts, source water protection. And the other one is leading the way on lead. And the last one is SDWA, past, present, and future. So yes, tomorrow is the last day that you are able to register for that $50. And I do believe I sent that out to COG members this afternoon, if anybody would like to get the link to that. If you did not and you would like it, please contact me and I'd be happy to resend. And can I go ahead and read Gail's thing before we jump to a different topic?
Sure.
Okay. It says Otsego will have a meeting on September 18th at 6 p.m. at City Hall on PFAS and other contaminants. The data that has been gathered will be presented to the community. MSU has been leading on gathering health information in the community, thanks to the state of Michigan departments that are participating in this meeting. Signed, Gail Dugan.
Perfect. Thank you, Mary, for reading that. I can't pull up everything here. Okay, I don't know who's going to talk about the new MPART sites or areas of interest. Is that you, Amy, or is that you, Kelly?
That's me. That's me. Hi. Good evening, everyone. Yes. So new import sites, areas of interest. Just a reminder, these all get placed as a link at the top of our import page on the day they go live, and then after 30 days they fall off, and you can still go down to our site investigation pages and still find them. So hopefully at the top of the page, you will see all these listed here. Dobson Industrial was kind of interesting. It was an old roundhouse and locomotive maintenance facility from the early 1900s and 1960s. Fairly low levels of PFOS and PFOA, no residential wells in the area. Alta Equipment is an equipment maintenance facility. This is a site that came to us from a baseline environmental assessment. It had elevated levels of PFBS, which I don't think we see a whole lot of. And we plan to sample as many as 10 residential wells on September 4th. Liquid disposal down in Macomb County was a former commercial liquid industrial waste facility. 350 parts per trillion PFOS, so fairly high concentrations, but no residential wells nearby. And then Lake George area of interest is an area of interest now because we started an investigation up in Lake George at the Clean Jeans laundry facility. We found one well that was contaminated and associated with that one, but we have since sampled a bunch of other residential wells near Clean Jeans. The PFAS profile is not the same, so we're pulling that off as a separate area of interest. So any res well sampling results and information moving forward will come and be placed under the Lake George area of interest. So that's not really anything new. We're just kind of separating that out from its original site. And the last one is a former Anderson landfill. This is one with pretty high concentrations of PFOS and PFOA. We did residential well sampling probably 2-3 years ago now because there was a big dewatering project in the area and staff were concerned it might change groundwater flow. So we're been sampling that one, keeping an eye on a couple of wells in that area. So all good there. So any questions about any of those? Okay. Moving right along. Then the cool thing that we wanted to share with you is that I think we've mentioned before that we've had some lackluster responses to our residential, we want to sample your drinking water well letters, as we call them. And these are the ones that we send out to the people that we want to sample, that are usually, in the direction of groundwater flow. Send these letters out. So we've actually modified our letter recently. A few months back, they used to start off by saying, "Hi, I'm so-and-so from Eagle," and people probably took that and threw that away. So we changed the format of the letter a little bit and basically say, hey, you might live near a potential, source of PFAS, and here's why we want to sample your well. Still not getting great responses from all those letters. And so what we're proposing here, and this is actually at the printer, are in insert, so that when they open up the letter now, this insert will fall out. So it'll be the width of a folded letter, basically. It'll be on thick, heavier paper, so cardboard stock paper. And on the front, it will basically ask the question, is PFAS in your drinking water? And I'll remind you that you can't see, smell, or taste it. And then information on the back that says, reminds them about the associated health outcomes from PFAS. So we're hoping that we haven't started rolling this out yet. Again, they're still at the printer, but we're hoping when we start mailing out letters in the future, we'll be sticking those in the middle of these letters, and hopefully we'll start getting some slightly better responses. So as a reminder, we do follow up in areas. So if we, only get 40% response rate, our contractors are going out and knocking on the doors in the rest of those areas. So people are getting at least 2 contacts from us, if not more than that. So anyway. So that's it as far as the stuff we had planned. I did want to mention before we turn it over to Sandy and Rick to talk about listening sessions, the Northern Air situation. Bill, thank you for reaching out about that. We do have a project team set up for Monday. So that's Eagle, DHHS, and possibly local health, although it sounds like it might be a schedule issue with them. But we've got a map pulled together. We took the information you gave us on the different the one residential well with the hit. We've got it also mapped out so we know where the other neighborhoods are. We're evaluating reservoirs, and we'll have a sampling plan pulled together fairly soon, and certainly a response for that one resident that is over criteria. So thank you for bringing that to our attention, and I will circle back with you on that. So that's all
Thank
I got,
you.
unless somebody's got questions. Questions? All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. You are fast. Good for you. All right. So the listening sessions, we had done some emails about this. I know Rick and I and Daniel and Tony attended in our various capacities. So I just wanted to open that up and hear from maybe Rick or Daniel. I know you guys are here. I don't think Tony is. Can talk about sort of what was discussed and how you thought it went and what you think the next steps are. So Daniel, I see your hand up. Take it away.
Yeah, and I realized as soon as you brought this up, Sandy, that I meant to express to Director Ruse how great I thought Ian Smith and the team that organized those meetings and were communicating with us. I thought they did a great job. So for all the officials on the call, please, please share those kudos up the chain, because I meant to do that, but then we got into the time crunch and I forgot. So generally speaking, I crafted a bunch of notes ahead of the meeting for what I hoped Eagle would present. I went back and looked through the health-based values document and the presentations that EPA gave several months ago, talking about why they were considering updating the MCLs. I looked back at Michigan's documentation for establishing the MCLs. Basically what I recommended or was planning to recommend was exactly what Eagle presented to us. So when you look across the contaminants that Eagle and that Michigan and the federal government regulate, in every case, they've taken the lower, more protective threshold of the two. And in cases where there were a couple of curious cases in the federal rules of contaminants that were kind of left off the table, which I still don't entirely understand. But in those cases where the federal rules didn't address them, the state kept those in the rules. So to my eye, it was like I was like reading my own recommendation when they put up those tables, and I thought that was excellent. It's a good first step. There's a lot more we want to do in the context and the scope of work that they're looking at here. My recommendation is that we all just essentially tell state officials, full thrusters forward. Let's get these on the books. Let's reconcile these with state and federal law. Let's reconcile the state law with federal law.
Great. Thanks, Daniel. Rick, you got your hand up?
Yes, I would agree with Dan. The session was really good. There was one group that thought the MCL should be lower, but I think there was really nobody that spoke that they should be higher. So there was a lot of support for the MCLs, and I was able to bring up one of my pet peeves or one of my interests about making sure that we protect source water, which is surface water and groundwater aquifers. We have standards, but we should be protecting future use of our water resources. And there was a lot of support for that. There was I think there were 2 other groups that said the same. So I thought it was a really good experience, and I was very pleased, like Dan mentioned, about Michigan has 2 compounds that weren't on the MCL list, but they're feeding those. So I think it's reconciled with Michigan's compounds pretty well. So I thought it was a very good experience.
Thanks, Rick. Yeah, I would disagree. I was actually I came prepared too, like everybody else. I had pictures and stories, and there was just no real pushback from anybody too much, other than I think there was a lot of us that thought this is a first step, and we probably need to look at regulating more as a class. I was really impressed with how it was presented and the thoughtfulness that went into the presentation. So Ian and the rest of you, thank you for doing that. There will be an opportunity in the future for public comment, and I would really encourage both us as a CAG or a COG and individuals to send public comments in, because I really do think that pushes policy ahead when they see that there's a lot of people interested. So all in all, it was, I mean, we did it. There was a lot to do though, I'll be honest. So I guess that's good. So thank you all for sending comments and concerns and questions and stuff over. I think it was helpful. All right, so we have about a half hour left, a little over, and we want to talk about goals for the next year, because I do think it's important that we do that. Is there anything else that we need to talk about before we dive into the goals discussion? If there is, if there's anything we got to do to follow up on the conversation with Phil or any of that, let me know, or we will just dive in here.
I just wanted to thank, is it Tony Fagnola, for the article that he sent out. I thought that was interesting.
Good.
And I appreciate that. I work with Bob Delaney quite closely. After the 2010 retirements, I inherited that site, and I shared his frustration about us not having any funding to be able to start looking for PFAS in nearby drinking water wells. And that was particularly distressing for Bob. And the geologist, sorry, I forgot his name, but he retired. And he sat down with me. And if you don't think that state employees get stressed about the work that they see they need to do, but there's no funding, I'm here to tell you that we get very stressed. And I just found that this was sort of a little bit walk in time for me to be able to read through this article. And if Tony's here, I thank you for sharing it. That's all I wanted to say about that.
All right, thank you. I'll share that with him. And Stacy just reiterates the need for action with the Falk Road situation in the chat. So we'll make sure that gets there. I'm going to reach out to Phil and find out what frequency he could attend these meetings, because I think it is really important that he hear from us. So with that, if there's nothing else, let's flip over and start talking about the goals. These were the 9 areas that we talked about at the last meeting, and I wasn't sure after sending out the email if there's any other areas that people wanted to add on to this or discuss or put out there, or if we just wanted to start voting away just to prepare us. We've got elections coming up. We all could practice voting. Anything we want to add? Yes, go ahead.
Sandy, I wondered about number 5. Is COG planning on establishing a registry of all the PFAS that are used in industry? I was a little confused about this goal.
Which one of us? So what I did was I was just the note taker. I was writing down what people said. So whoever added that onto the list, anybody want to take ownership for that and explain what it was?
I think that was me.
All right, Daniel, take it away.
So let me check my memory here. So one thing that has come up in a lot of organizations nationwide is, basically an accountability of where PFAS are being used, particularly non-proprietary PFAS. So this isn't, so if somebody's making PFBS or using PFBS or PFOS or whatever the chemical is that is widely used, that there be a law that, essentially discloses that is being used somewhere. There, a sign up, notification on a wall somewhere, a database that anybody can hit on the web that, these toxic chemicals are being used in these locations at these addresses. And you could look those up pretty easily.
So are you,
you know,
you're saying that if any chemical company is developing a new PFAS compound to, well, kind of in my snarky mind, to work around PFOA, PFOS, or some other stuff we're detecting in groundwater that we have a drinking water number for, or we don't yet, there should be a way to get that chemical registered publicly? Or
So,
don't
well,
they get
that's actually not what I'm saying, but I would appreciate that as well. But no, what I'm saying here is for chemicals that are known to be toxic that have been established, and you could start with, you know, now the ones for which there's an EPA drinking water standard.
Oh, I see.
You know, anybody
well,
that
there's
is
discharge.
manufacturing or
Here's what I'm wondering.
I think
Here's what I'm wondering, just to keep us focused on what we're doing. I think this debate is good, but I'm wondering if that comes later once we've set these goals to get in the weeds about each of these, if that makes sense.
So we could, with that in mind, I think we could generalize that to, you know, something about understanding and communicating the widespread use of PFAS publicly.
Because I know, Daniel, you and I have talked about, I'm very worried about worker safety when it comes to PFAS, that we're not addressing that issue, especially in the climate arena and some of the green energy stuff that's going on. I think we may have some, you know, chips manufacturing and all that is using a lot of this. So I think when we talked about it, we were thinking the same thing. But I think to define these better, we got to figure out which ones we want to focus on. Does that sound good to people?
I was using the registry as an example. I think the goal here needs to be a little broader.
Okay. All right. So we can hammer that out. So Kelly and I had talked, and Kelly was going to try to do the big computer magic that she can by having us vote on these. What do you guys think about voting? I think we may be voting on the top 5, and then we can narrow it down to the top 3. Does that sound like a dealio we could try?
Actually,
there's
Go ahead. Callie, were you going to say something?
I was just going to explain how I set it up. I set it up a little bit different, but I think it will collect responses more in line with what you're looking.
Okay.
Lois, did you have one thing to add before I explain how this is going to happen?
Are you going to launch a poll here on Teams?
I did it in Microsoft Forms. I've used some guinea pigs from the web review subcommittee to try it out, as well as internal people to try it out. So this is, I'll put the link in the chat after I explain how we're going to do this. So this is the way that it's going to look on your computer. Unfortunately, and Sandy and I talked about the different, you know, challenges that we might have with this. People who have called in by phone, unfortunately, are not going to be able to do this. If you used Teams on your phone, meaning you used the meeting link to connect, you will be able to do this. But I've taken all of the goals that you saw on the previous screen, and you're going to get the link and you're going to move them up or down in the order of which they matter to you. Sandy, you look nervous.
Well, yeah, we'll make it work. I do want to say, if you've called in, you still can't vote. We don't, I don't care if you text somebody and say, this is my vote. If you just say it out loud and say, this is my order, I want to make sure as many people get to vote as we can. So.
Yeah. And then like we can, people who are on the phone, if they want to vote verbally, we can capture their 1, 2, 3, 4, what's important to them. And I can put that on the spreadsheet and we can add that to this. So right now we have 0 responses. So this is an anonymous response. Just so everybody sees that, I'll copy this and drop it in the link. So as a reminder, this is for members only to cast these votes.
Shelley just put a note in the chat that says, so if we were on the Teams app on our phone, we cannot use it either.
Nope, she'll be able to.
Got that, Shelley? Hopefully
It's not
you will
letting
be
me.
able to. She hadn't put the
Yeah,
link
it's not
in
letting
yet.
me.
You got to click the
Okay.
link. Okay, let's try it. Let's just have fun. What the heck? We'll make it a drinking game if we need to.
So everybody click the link, put them in the order using the up and down arrows, and then click submit.
The link isn't working for me, so I'm going to try something different. I'm going to try to right click and then click open link.
Cool.
Pop up. Oh, I have a pop-up blocker. I think that's what's the problem. Maybe if you guys have a pop-up blocker, you'll have to go up to your browser bar, and then mine said pop-up blocker really small, and then I had to click on a little logo in the URL bar to open it, if that helps anybody. I was having problems too. And then once I clicked it, it opened 10 times because that's how many times I'd clicked it. I'm in.
Yay!
I won't vote 10 times though.
Do it.
Oh, I could get it done. Went great. And I'm on my phone on Teams.
All right.
I think I missed something. So I'm not seeing a link. Everything just looks static on my side.
In the chat?
Yeah, I'm not seeing a link in the chat.
Is there anything in the chat?
Oh, yeah, it's there.
I was able to find it.
The last thing I see is from 7/21.
Oh my.
Well, somebody can text it to you.
Huh.
I can text it to you if you want, or email. Because I have it copied because I thought there was
Will
something
that
wrong
work,
with the link.
Kelly?
Yep, she can email the link.
I think
you
what's
wanna-
going on for me is I think it's because HRWC has a Teams account. I think it's recognizing me as an HRWC person and not a public person. I think is what's going on. I think there's something like that.
Oh, okay.
I'll try to email it to you, Dan.
All right.
I can't do it either. This is Joe Kang. Send me one too.
I love experiments.
Can we see the live submission? All I see is the explanation on the slide. Can we see the voting in real time?
Yep, I can only do one thing at a time though, Lois.
Oh, sorry. I'm impatient. I want to see it. Full technology. Thank you, Kelly.
Yeah, thanks, Kelly. I could vote 10 times at once.
Yeah, but don't.
Okay,
Kelly,
I'll
can
only
I
do
put-
9.
Kelly, can I put my vote in for Tony? Since he
Yeah,
gave me his,
Yep,
okay.
you can do that, or I can send him the link.
Well, I could do it. He gave me his vote, so I could
Yep.
do it now.
How many responses are you expecting, Sandy?
However
We
many
had-
members we had.
We had 20 on.
Okay, 6 more.
And Lynn just sent us hers, but I'm trying to do Tony's right now. Are you going to do Lynn's, Mary?
I just got it, so I can.
That would be great.
I just did. This is Patty. I did Lynn.
Oh, thank you, Patty. Okay.
Yep.
I just wanted to make sure.
There's a lot of good options here.
Were you able to do it, Dan?
I was, thanks.
Perfect.
Okay.
I didn't have
Connie's
arrows.
having
I'm
trouble.
just
The
confused.
arrows don't show. You got to kind of hover over them.
Or if
Yeah,
you're on a
or-
tablet, you can drag them.
Yep, that's what I did. I just dragged them.
And you do it by just dragging.
Hey, how are we doing? We got a few more doing it?
Connie and anybody else, I found the arrows on the right side of the lines.
So Connie, if you're on a tablet, it might look like this instead. And you just drag and drop. So we have 17 responses. Which way do you guys want to look at the results?
I think like that is the easiest to see.
Yeah. I agree.
So it sounds like there's no surprise here. Oh, wait, Connie lost the table, but we'll see. It looks like public notification continues to be the big thing, as we know, that most of us are concerned about. The second, it looks like, and these two are kind of equal, I would think, educating and providing assistance to other communities. Then increasing membership, getting updates. So Mike, does that sound good to people? Or people okay with this, what it's looking like? People okay with doing it this way, with the voting?
Kelly, is there a way, I don't know about anybody else, I'm only seeing a tiny portion of that. Is there a way to do the full screen of that?
Okay. Is that looking better, Mary? Can you see it? We got screens going everywhere. I'm a boomer. This is making my head hurt. You kids and your technology. All right. It's sounding to me like we have some pretty clear goals. How many do people think we need? I think 3 goals at a time is as a psychologist, what I usually have people work on, but I am open to 5 or any number in between there. More than that, we just start tripping over each other.
Those top 3 look good to me. Number 5 strikes me. The MDART updates strike me because that is I think that's a small thing compared to some of these others. Like that could just be a meeting request.
Okay.
Or to have them give a few presentations. So I think we might even be able to just sort of bump that one to a different list.
Perfect.
I guess the one that I was kind of sad didn't quite make the number 5 cut was the physicians education. But on the other hand, I'm not sure we're the right group to take that on. But I do think that there should be an effort there from somebody, I think, pretty deliberately. And being married to a physician, I'm sensitive to that one.
Doesn't
So
that
just
fall
yeah.
in
Jocelyn's got her hand up. You have a comment on that?
Yeah, hey everybody. So just one note about the education for physicians is that we have a group that goes to clinician offices and has presentations with them and stuff talking about PFAS exposure. We have like specific fact sheets for them and all that good jazz. If you guys would like, we could offer like a presentation like that because I guess I'm not sure what the purpose of that goal would be then. Or if you guys are aware that that's stuff that we have available. So just wanted to throw that out there.
Thank you. I think the concern I have is physicians don't know this, even in exposed communities. They're not suggesting blood testing and they kind of dismiss when people come in and say they've had this. We could also have somebody from ATSDR come in and maybe talk about, because they really want us to start doing more outreach with physicians, with the NASM guidance and some of those things. So maybe that's another one that we can kind of work with Jocelyn and some others to do that as well. Like you said, Danny, with the MDARD one. So it looks like public notification and then educating and providing assistance with the communities are the 2 or 3 top ones, and then increasing membership. So my suggestion is this, that we look at setting up subcommittees, either putting this in. Lynn McIntosh had sent a text that she loved Portia's idea of expanding the time and engaging the public as part of public notification. I think that is a really good spot that could start working on that public notification yet again and figure out a way to get some traction on that. Looking at what we had, because you heard Rick say there was a lot of debate and discussion about what exactly that should entail. And it would be nice if we could come up with a consensus document of some kind. And maybe that's the place to do it and then bring it back. And then maybe we look at taking some of those other subcommittees and using them to achieve those goals. How does that sound to people? I know it's late and I'm looking feverishly because this is the time of day that the bear shows up. So I'm just scared of a bear here. Lynn Knopf is saying good. I like that. Stacy is talking about the need for education with doctors. John Brees is saying good in the chat. So I guess what I would suggest then is, I think, Kelly, did you have a few more things we got to go over tonight? Rick is agreeing too. So why don't we do this? I think we've done a lot of work. She wants to talk about the PFAS Summit. At the next meeting, let's start talking about how we're going to measure success for these and how we're going to do implementation of those goals. Does that sound good to everybody? And Portia, you're right. I think the bear agrees. So go ahead. Kelly, get us out of here. Tell us what's next.
Yeah, no, thanks for experimenting with me on the survey. Glad it seemed to work somewhat well.
Thank you, Kelly.
This is just a reminder. It happens. And then the next meeting is October 8th. And that's it.
All right, folks, I will see you on October 8th. We'll get an agenda out to you before then. And yes, Jason, I am quite aware that bears are good at opening not only car doors, but home doors as well. So I'm going to get inside. Thank you. Oh, somebody. All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a great September. I'll see you next month. Bye.
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 Bye-bye.